Hi, Greg here. Today we're going to be revisiting my last LEGO Creator set review, which was set 5763, the Dune Hopper. In particular, we'll be looking at one particular build from this set, being that it was a 3-in-1, and it's this trike three-wheeler build that they had. Originally, when I got this set, I thought this would be one of my favorite builds from it, but it turned out to be my least favorite for a variety of reasons. There's a couple things that I didn't like about this, and it was one thing being the suspension here. I thought that was really gimmicky, and it really took away from the shape of the bike itself. And then I didn't like the length of the gas tank. I know they had to use that piece there, but it really turned out just awful, and it really made the bike way too long. I don't like the seat in the back. I didn't like the way the exhaust came out. There was so much about this thing that I didn't like that I made a decision when I was reviewing it in the last video that I was going to rebuild it and make my own MOC based on an actual three-wheeler, not necessarily a trike like this, that I was really proud of and that I would really like, and that's what I did today. So we're going to take a look at it next. Here's what I came up with. This is the three-wheeler that I would have included with the set as opposed to the one that they built. This was modeled after a 1980s Honda ATC three-wheeler. In particular, it kind of looks like an ATC 200 for the most part. In comparison to the original build, there was a few things that I kept the same. I kept the headlight, I kept the handlebars, or at least a portion of them, and the fact that it has three wheels. Beyond that, everything has been modified. So let's take a little closer look at each section of it here. We'll start with the side profile. The first thing you'll notice is how much I shortened the frame up. I felt for a proper three-wheeler, not necessarily a trike like was on the box, but a proper four-wheeler needed to be a lot shorter. So I took the frame, shortened that. I kept pretty much the same width that they had with the other three-wheeler, but the length of it really bothered me, and I think the main reason was so that they could use these pieces for the gas tank. It really does make sense when you have both of these. It does look good for a gas tank, but that's just too long when you're building with just a small build like this, so I had to get rid of that. And unfortunately, I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see, the gas tank really doesn't look very realistic. I did what I could using the pieces that I had, but fortunately I did have enough of these red flat pieces to really make it work out. There's a little bit of orange under there, which isn't authentic to a Honda, but you have to use what you have when you're basically just building out of one Creator set. That's the goal that I have with these sets, is only to use the pieces that's included with the set and make my own version of it. Onto the front here, you'll see that the forks are still the same as what was built in there. There's not as much suspension travel. In fact, there's hardly any at all, but I did get rid of that huge wide piece, which this is what they use for the suspension. They use this in rubber bands, and that's just way too wide. That was the widest thing with the exception of the back wheels that was on the original one. So I scrapped that in favor of just this suspension system here. There's a Technic piece inside there. And then this thing has a little bit of play, but it's stopped from hitting anything because of this piece right here, and that's kind of nice. And then inside here, you can see those two black balls in there that stop it from moving up too far. So that is perfect, and it rolls perfectly. Rolling out of the way, you can see just how many pieces were left over from the build, and that was the same way for the other one too. On the side, on the bottom here, that's the engine, or what I imagine the engine to be. This looks kind of authentic. I mean, starting here with the gas tank, it starts to get out of control, but that's the best that I could do with what I was given for the engine compartment, but it makes do. In the back here, I wanted the body panels to be kind of bent, and originally I wanted to use these, but I didn't quite have enough of these. So what I did was take the ones that kind of bend here, and I bent those down to go into the side, and it's very stable, which is really nice, and it gives it that look like it has a fender that bends down. I mean, there's no curve in it. Like, this would have been a nice curve, but it just didn't work out with what I was trying to do, so I had to scrap that too, and I'm glad I had these pieces. As a result of using these in the back, I only had two of these, I had to make the handlebar stationary. On the original motorcycle that they had, these were able to bend it back a little bit, but I felt like for a three-wheeler it was okay if they sat straight up. Under the front here, we'll be looking at the headlight. I used the same headlight they had before. It bends up and down, but I mean, the only way that it really works is having an upright position. Then you have the fender on the front. And that's what I really like about this. All the fenders look uniform. It looks like it's supposed to be that way. I was going to use a different piece for the front fender too. I thought if I wasn't using these, I could put these in the front, but I tried it out and it really didn't look right, so I had to scrap that too. I really tried to use this piece and I just couldn't make it work, so we had to get rid of it. So the fender, I think the front end looks really nice. I mean, if you look at the front profile of it, not bad at all. It really does look like a much more consistent three-wheeler than what they built. And then the other side is exactly the same as the other side that we already looked at. Here's the bottom. Really not much to see there, but you can kind of see the frame that I used. And then on the back, this is where things get really basic. Got a little bit of space in there. I imagine that would be for like suspension travel. I had to use this orange piece here because I didn't have any red that was 6 wide, so we just had to go with that. And then the back's very plain. I could put some type of suspension on the back, like maybe something like this. And I think I may actually do that if I can find the right pieces to make it work. But for now, this is my build as I have it. And I spent a good amount of time just kind of modifying this to make it the way I wanted. But I need to make this video because I want to move on to other sets. And this is the Honda ATC 200 is what I'm saying it is. I mean, in the 80s, these things were really popular. If you Google the image for it, you can see what it looks like. But I think it turned out pretty well with a little bit of orange mixed in. Unfortunately, but you do what you do to get by, and it worked out really well. This is my favorite build from this set. It's my own, of course. You may feel differently. I think the Dune Hopper itself was a nice build on its own. The 4-wheeler was weak, and then the 3-wheeler trike was really weak. So this is my build, and I'm really happy with it. I'm going to be having plenty more of these MOCs in the future. You can trust me on that one. And I'm just going to keep building. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions on making this better, let me know. I can obviously modify it as long as I'm using these pieces. I refuse to use anything other than what's included in the set. But this is an idea for LEGO. If you ever want to build a 4th set from set 5763, this is an opportunity for you. You can kind of get the gist of it just by looking at this, and I'm not going to tear it down or anything, but you can get the idea of what I was going for here. So thanks for watching, and there will be plenty more videos up here soon.